Hi everyone, Ewan Thomas here, former European, Commonwealth, World Champion, Olympic silver medalist, and I can't believe it, still, at the moment, the British record holder over 400 metres. And AW have kindly asked me if I want to answer some questions, and of course I do. So let's crack on. Right, I've got them here on my phone. The first question is, what was your best moment in a Newman and Essex Beagle vest? Wow. Well, I think most people will assume I would say 1997, the 3As, the British record, the fastest time I ever ran in the vest, such a competitive race. But I actually think it was the following year. I think it was a trials of 98, where the race was just literally on fire. Like Mark Richardson had beaten me 5 times out of 5 on the Grand Prix circuit. I knew I was in good shape, and I won the trials. And that was obviously the trials for the European Championships that year in Budapest, which I later went on to win as well. But the trials were just probably the fastest race I've ever seen in a domestic field. To put it into perspective, Roger Black did not make the team. He came 4th and he ran 44.6. That's how quick it was. Solomon Moriso, a 200-meter specialist, stepped up, then did the 400, and he surprised everyone. He came 3rd behind myself and Mark Richardson. So, yeah, I think the 98 race for me, although it wasn't as fast as 97, I think I was up against it. The pressure was on. And I think people expected Mark to win it. And it was such a good race. Like to this day, very proud of that race. So yeah, that would be my proudest moment. The next one, how did it feel to break Roger Black's British 400 meter record in 97? Yeah, it was, I won't say it was a surprise because I think the writing was on the wall. I'd run really quickly a couple of weeks before at the Don Valley in Sheffield. I think I ran 44.5 and I literally celebrated like 20 meters from the line, and I just jogged through and I looked at the clock and I thought, oh my goodness. And then the next week, I think in Lausanne or somewhere, I ran in the pouring rain, I ran 44.4. So I knew I was in shape, but yeah, I thought Roger would probably have the record for longer in terms of he only had it for 12 months, and Roger was such an amazing athlete. So I was really proud to have broken that record because I knew, quite frankly, it was a good time. You know, Roger was a superb athlete, and 44.37, which was his personal best, was a good time to beat. My only sort of regret as I sit here now, and maybe not regret as much, but I think I had so many injuries in my career. I think, and this is with respect to the Alexandra Stadium and the 3As. I did the British record after having run a heat and a semi-final and come back the next day, 3 races in 3 days. It wasn't exactly like a one-off Grand Prix race in Zurich where it's a really fast track. So I think if I hadn't got injured, I definitely would have run much quicker than 44.3. But it's still a record, so I'm happy. Who of the current British athletes do you think is most likely to break your British 400 meter record? Right, I'm going to be a bit not controversial, but 100% Matt Hudson-Smith has got everything it takes to run as fast as me and faster. So I think the immediate future, I think Matt Hudson-Smith should take the record. I was surprised Martin really didn't. I thought someone like Tim Benjamin could have if he hadn't retired and hadn't had so many injuries. But I think of the current crop, Matt Hudson-Smith will get my record, but then that will be smashed by Charlie Dobson. I think Charlie Dobson, the Ginger Ninja, the 200 meter boy, if he steps up and turns his back on 100 and 200, I know he has done the 400, but I think if he trained for the 400, I think he could run very fast. So I think my answer would be Matt Hudson-Smith most likely will break my British record. And then from there, Charlie Dobson, it's all his if he wants it. That's my opinion. Right. What was your hardest and favourite training session? Now, I was a little bit sadistic. I used to love the pain of training. So whereas most people would hate a session of 6 3s or 4 minutes recovery or 8 2s of 2, I would smile when I knew we had that, because I was a bit of a freak. Like I would recover from lactic quickly. Like say 6 3s, most of the group after 3 or 4 would be really feeling it. Within the 3 minutes of recovery, I was totally recovered. Like I felt fine. But I think probably the hardest, and we didn't do it very often, which I loved, was 500, 400, 300, 200, 100. So 500 meters fast, and then 10 minutes recovery, then a 400 in about 47 flat, and then I think it was 6 minutes in a 332, and then a 221 something. This was all during the warm-up training. It would be fast and it would be hard. So I think 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 was tough. Split 4s, so 200, 90 seconds, 200, that was tough. All of the training was tough, and that's why I loved it. And that's probably why my body broke, because I pushed myself too hard. But yeah, if I had to pick one, because we did it consistently, it would be 8.2s of 2 minutes, because that's when I knew the hard graph really started in the winter. That was a winter session. But as a one-off session, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What was your mentality in the 400 meters when racing? I think my strength not only was my strength, but was my mental strength as well. I was one of those athletes who would try and get into the mind of my rivals in the call room, and I was very, I wouldn't say aggressive, but I'm the most placid, nice person there is. But I was a bit of an animal, a bit of like a David Grinley when I used to race. I would switch it on, and I used to just love going to battle. I used to see the 400 meters as a race that, yes, I knew it was going to hurt, but bring it. I used to love the pain of it. So I used to just thrive off the fact that I'd look at my rivals and I'd think, yeah, you're getting it today, or yeah, you better be on your A game because I'm ready. So my mentality for the 400 really was one of attack this race. I wasn't one for like, going around and running around for second or third place. I would always try and win, even against Michael Johnson, to my detriment, but I'd always try and win. So yeah, my mentality was get out hard, get up to speed, relax down that back straight, maintain it. And then I used to think when I saw the steeplechase barrier or around 150 to go, that's when I thought, right, you're all getting it. And I used to just really wind it up. And I always used to try and get to 300 in a really good time, like get to 300 fast, but relaxed. And then the real hard work started. So yeah, my mentality was we're going to war. And I hope you brought your A game. That's what I used to feel. God, I even feel like pumped up talking about it. I couldn't even run a 400 now. It'd be interesting. I think my mentality, if I had to do it now, would be survival. My mentality when I was in my 20s and a fit young man was, this is it. Let's go. I loved it. How much did you enjoy your time on Hunted? I loved Hunted. I really, really did. And I love spending time with Richard Whitehead. Richard's a wonderful bloke. I learned a lot from him. Hunted was a lot harder than I think the viewers know. And I'll be careful what I say. I don't want to get in trouble. But there's certain rules and stipulations that we, as a competitor, have to meet. So, for example, it'd be really easy to win Hunted if you just went to the Highlands of Scotland and camped out for 2 weeks. No one would find you. But it would make boring television. So there's certain rules that Channel 4 set that we have to meet. So without giving everything away, for example, we have to use public transport once a week. So when me and Richard got a train from Norwich to Nottingham, loads of people messaging me on social media going, what are you doing on a train, you idiot? Of course you're going to get seen, there's cameras everywhere. Yeah, I know. We had to do that. So there's certain rules like that. You have to do a day's work somewhere. You have to move every 24 hours. You have to sleep outside at least 3 times. There were certain rules that you have to do, I think, to make it fairer for the hunters to be able to have a chance to catch us. But they didn't catch me. But yeah, I loved it. I was gutted when Richard got caught. And that was one of the toughest days where we had to taunt the hunters and sort of give away. I won't give away too much, but yeah, it's a great show. Absolutely loved it. And it's real. When people go to me, it can't be real. Like, surely they weren't that close behind you. Everything you saw was real. Like, it really was scary. Like, one of the most scary things I've done. Yeah, I've answered the next one. How much did you enjoy Hunted? I loved it. Loved it. Sorry, the next one. Olympic medal or winning Hunted? No, Olympic medal. Come on, definitely. I mean, yeah. Thing is, Olympic medal, I didn't get to ride in a Huey helicopter. But yeah, no, Hunted was a different feeling. For me, it was a sort of a bit of closure because my career fizzled out with injuries. I didn't get a chance to have a last hurrah, as silly as it sounds. Winning a game, winning something when you're up against good people felt really good. So, of course, the Olympic medal means more to me than a television show. But winning Hunted at this time in my life right now was much needed. It came at a good time for me. What is your favourite mass participation running event you've taken part in? That is a no-brainer. That is the London Marathon. Although the Great South Run, that is also very good. Great North Run, they're great events. Lots of lovely people. But in terms of the support from the streets, the London Marathon, I've done it 8 times. There's nothing like it. I mean, I've run harder races since. I've done further. But in terms of when you're rubbing shoulders with lovely people and getting to, run against other, people who you might have seen on television from different genres and stuff, and then also running with brilliant members of the public. I think the London Marathon is really something special. And I recommend if people watching this, if they're fit enough to do it, or even if they're not, give themselves enough time to train for it. I think everyone who's capable should try and run the London Marathon at least once in their life, because it is goosebumps moment. You know, when you come along that mile and you come through the finish line, it's so amazing. I've met some wonderful people doing the London Marathon. I'll be doing it again. I think I'm doing it this year, actually. So yeah, London Marathon. Favorite post-race interview you've done on track? Oh, as the interviewer? Okay. Yeah, that one would have to be, I think London 2017 was an amazing, you know, to chat to the likes of Mo and so forth. But I think for me, Usain Bolt, his final 100 meters, to be able to speak to him before the BBC, before Eurosport, before all the world's media, as the infield host, I get first dibs. So as soon as they finish, I get to talk to them. And I think for that one, everyone clearly wanted him to win, and Justin Gatlin won. And maybe, I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, maybe a bit controversial, but in my earpiece, I'm told, talk to the winner, talk to the winner. And I swerved it and went straight to Bolt. Sorry, but he's the people's person, and he's the one that everyone wants to speak to. So yeah, I think I spoke to Justin after. I can't remember really, to be honest. It was all about Usain Bolt, and for me, it was such a lovely interview because he was very apologetic. And I remember he just said, you know, I just want to, you know, this isn't the end, and everyone wanted, I'm sorry. And I said, listen, you never have to apologise for anything. What you've done for our sport, you've brought it back from the depths of despair, and you've saved it. You are the saviour of my sport, which he is. And he was at the time. And, you know, I think such a wonderful athlete, and, you know, really, really nice to talk to him. And although he didn't win that race, which he wanted to do, and with hindsight, he might look back and think he should have retired after Rio. That's not for me to say, but he was still the champion of that track that night. And the crowd let me know that as well. The crowd, their response. So yeah, interviewing someone like Usain Bolt, I feel very privileged to work still within the sport I love and get to talk to such amazing athletes. You know, there's so many, you know, I'm just thinking now, people like Sam Kendricks in the pole vault. There's so many characters and wonderful people within our sport. It's really nice for me to get to know them. And yeah, I often wonder, as I talk to them, I wonder, who's this old man talking to me? I don't know if they even know I was an athlete, but yeah, hopefully they do. Because I think that gives a bit of, I wouldn't say mutual respect, but at least they know I understand perhaps some of the emotions they might be feeling, good or bad, when I interview them at the end of a competition. So yeah, Usain Bolt would be my number one. Although obviously, you know, then I say that, but then also Carsten, after it was his first world title in 2017 in the pouring rain, and he laid out on the track. Van Niekerk laid on the track. You know, there was some really good interviews that Worlds where, you know, some new characters came through. So yeah, actually, I'll stick with Usain Bolt, but Carsten Warholm, and you know, there's some amazing people within our sport who I'm lucky enough to talk to. You know, Mondo Duplantis now, you know, just a superstar of the sport, and such a humble, nice guy. Go on, waffling on now. I'm talking more than Chris Akabusi. I bet he's on here for longer than me. Yeah. Anyway, I won't do a Chris Akabusi. I'll give you one answer. Usain Bolt. Right, move on. Yeah, I love it. I love Boosie. That's someone I would have loved to have interviewed. He was slightly before my time, but anyway, right. What was the experience like of doing an ultra marathon of 100 miles in raising money for Group B Strep Support? Wow. A very emotional experience. For those who don't know, my son very nearly died when he was born. He was in intensive care for 10 days with something called Strep B, which is a horrific illness. I'd never heard of it before. So I basically trained with an ultra runner called Susie Chan, and we made a bit of a bet. She said, I bet you could do an ultra. And I said, bet I could. I said, how far is it? She goes, anything over marathon distance. I said, oh, I'll do a 50 miler. She goes, if you want to be properly respected and known as a double hard, I won't say, because I don't know if you've got a bleep machine, do 100. I went, oh, I'll do 100. And wow, it was so tough. I trained for it. I got injured. I got broken doing a 50-mile qualifying race. But the 100-miler, without a doubt, above everything I've ever done, was the hardest thing I've ever achieved. By far. Physically, I was in bed afterwards for about a week. I was on crutches for about 10 days. I broke my foot. I'm still not right. And it's like 10 months on, maybe more, maybe 11 months on. I'm still not all right. That was tough. My body wasn't used to it. I'm 15 and a half stone. I'm a sprinter. I used to run for 44 seconds. All of a sudden, I'm running for 30 hours. That was horrific. People ask me if I'd do it again. And yeah, I would, because I got lost 3 times. It was too hot and I could have run quicker. So that's a competitor in me. I would have done it again. Yeah. Wow. Would I recommend that to anyone else? Yeah, I don't know. 100 mile is bad. Right. Can anyone who's currently running go sub 43 in the 400? Wow. Stephen Gardner, I think, is a beautiful runner to watch. World champion, Olympic champion as well. Yeah. Did he win the Olympics last year? Yes, he did. Yeah. Yeah. Stephen Gardner, I think, to watch is a beautiful athlete. Just the way he flows, he's effortless. And that's what all the best athletes are. Obviously, Wade van Niekerk, I don't know if he's ever going to get back to what he was, unfortunately, after his bad Achilles injury. Sub 43 is going somewhere, isn't it? Cool, blimey. That's going so. I think Van Niekerk could have done it. He could have done it. Whether he'd get back, I doubt. I don't think there's any of the Americans at the moment who I think would run that fast. So if anyone, I'd say Stephen Gardner, but I don't know. He's got to keep healthy. He's like a race whippet though, isn't it? You look at him and you think, how can he run that fast? He's just like tall and skinny, but he's just, as I said, he's majestic to watch him run. So yeah, I think Gardner could possibly do it. What about Carsten? What if he just, no, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for anyone to do it. First and foremost, let's get a Brit running 44.2, maybe. It's not even a question, but I'll answer this because people ask me a lot. Am I proud I've got the British record? Do I want to see it be broken? On this hand, I don't want to see it be broken. On a selfish note, it's really nice to say I'm still the British record holder, fastest ever. On that hand, a lover of my sport, it needs to progress. Matt Hudson-Smith, pull your socks up, do it. I think he will do it. For the record, I think Matt will do it this year. And I visited the track yesterday in Birmingham, and it is beautiful. So I think he could do it in the Commonwealth Games final. That would be on his home track, his Birchfield as well. That would be amazing. So Matt Hudson-Smith, get the British record this year, and then next year, Charlie Dobson step up. There you go. I think that's it. I've absolutely loved this. Hopefully I've answered everything okay. And thank you for watching. And until next month, whoever next month may be, I hope they enjoy it as much as I have. Thank you very much. Stay safe.